new reporting tonight on the epicenter of this pandemic in the United States, New York, grappling with what's become 10% of cases worldwide. The U.S. naval ship Comfort arriving there in New York City, Manhattan's Jacob Javits Center, opening today as formally a FEMA hospital. That's a temporary transition designed to try to help the problems there in that city. Meanwhile, you're looking at Central Park, where officials had set up a field hospital specifically for coronavirus patients. All of this comes as the city's emergency system reportedly overwhelmed by a record number of 911 calls. Our special coverage continues, and we want to bring in Tony Schwartz. He's the co-author of The Art of the Deal and also the founder of the Energy Project, an organization that advises Fortune 500 companies on many related issues. And back with us, Dr. Anne Rimoin. Thanks to both of you. Tony, many of the viewers of The Beat know you for bigger picture conversations we've had throughout the years. This obviously is a time where managing your own energy, stress, and anxiety can affect the safety of the decisions you make. What do you think about this? What are you advising the companies that you work with on all of that as a public health matter?
Well, there's nothing, Ari, that's more difficult for a human being, more traumatizing even, than to feel out of control and helpless. And that's precisely what many of us are feeling right now. So really the issue for people is to make a distinction between the things you can control and the things you cannot control, and to put your attention, to focus your attention on the things you can control. Because there are things you can control, and there's nothing more valuable right now, both for you as an adult, but also for your children, than to have routines that serve you well. That could be both things that make you feel more calm and relaxed. So just a deep breath. I'm going to do it for you right now. In 3. Out 6. That's a very powerful way to stabilize your physiology. The other really powerful way is to make sure that you have some kind of routine that is increasing your movement, that is raising your heart rate, because that's a way to discharge stress. So what routines do you have in place? Because here's the thing, Ari. There is something called allostatic load. Allostatic load is the wear and tear. Wear and tear on your body and your mind and your emotions. And when you get allostatic overload, the system begins to break down. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah. Let me take those points to the doctor, because Dr. Rimoin, one of the things we've tried to do is report carefully on everything the CDC says. And one of the things they say for guidance above and beyond the things we've heard, you wash your hands, social distance, is to actually take time away from news, information, social media, and potential stressors, which can be counterintuitive for people watching, thinking, but I'm also supposed to stay informed. What are you telling patients? What are you telling people who might be listening to you tonight, doctor?
I think you're touching on a very important point. This is a very stressful moment for everyone, and I think that we often have the aptitude of, or the attitude of, I can handle this, I need to stay informed, the more I know, the more I can protect myself, and all of that is true. But consuming news constantly becomes addictive. It raises stress levels. Stress levels make you more susceptible to disease. So it makes a lot of sense. But I also think what Tony said is true. There are many things that we all can be doing. This is there, all of these models, all of these predictions, they are not our destiny. They are a prediction of what the future could look like, and we have some control. And I think everybody understanding that they do have some control and doing these things that we're being told to do, staying at home, social distancing, covering your mouth, any of these things, I think people feel better when they know that they themselves individually can do something.
Doctor, the other thing I want to ask you, and then Tony will answer second, is at the intersection of managing this stress, which we wanted to give some time to in our broadcast, but also the philosophical question, because anyone, basically everyone who's been in a situation with themselves or a family or member or friend who's had a problem or a tragedy befall them, there is a classic why me and am I alone and all of that. Doctor, how does this play out where it's literally a global pandemic? So we're all going through it together. And there are ways where, in theory, if it were a novel, that might sound like something that would be unifying. But in fact, we hear from many people who feel that it's terrifying because it's everywhere. I wonder if you could speak to that aspect, and then Tony will go second.
Absolutely. You know, I've spent many, many years fighting Ebola epidemics in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and we see the same thing roll out. We are not any different than anybody else in any other country. We are all going through this together. And this is this whole idea of pulling together by staying apart. But it can be very isolating. And people need to, that is where watching the news sometimes helps, but reaching out in social media and trying to find ways to connect with people the best you can to share, it's very important because so many people are feeling the same things. It's very natural in any natural disaster to be feeling these things. We could be looking back to Katrina. We could be looking back to any Ebola outbreak, to any major disaster. You know, many people have felt these feelings before and feel them with you if you're feeling this way now. I think that people need to be able to absorb that and understand this is a disaster and we all are feeling the anxiety and stress.
There's a tendency, Ari, to think that the best way to do this is to tough it out, to steel yourself, to try to push aside your feelings. And in fact, the more you can acknowledge what you're feeling and then let it run through you, it will run through you. And one of the things we're doing at the Energy Project with our clients is to offer them an opportunity when we work with them to set up small cohorts in which people have an opportunity to talk together about what they're feeling. Because the more they can talk about what they're feeling, the better that they feel afterward. You know, I think I've talked to you before about the idea of name it to tame it. When you acknowledge what's going on, then it has an opportunity to be released, to run through you. So any opportunity you have, and I found that probably a lot of your viewers have, that we're spending a lot more time on FaceTime or on Zoom talking to friends and family members, that is a wonderful thing to do. We need community. We do need to be in this together.
And we need to see each other and hear each other and not just have it be, you know, a text or an email or the other things. It's a funny thing that we're at a moment in technology where the FaceTiming and other stuff, which some people use a lot and other people may not, is key. Dr. Ramon, you know, Tony and I go way back on this show. And I've always tried to teach him about the virtues of keeping it real. Do you know that expression?
Sure.
Yeah, you know, keeping it real in the streets. And there is nothing more real than feelings, right, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an opportunity for people also, Ari, to ask themselves some pretty key questions. Like, there is opportunity in this situation to ask questions like, am I doing what I really believe I ought to do? Is there some way that I could contribute more? Is this the life I want to be living once we're out of this? So, yeah, I think this is an amazing opportunity.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.